everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Discovery Pod with Eve. I am Eve Richards. It's so good to be back in the studio here in Burbank. Today we have the privilege of chatting with Dana Bradley, who's got such an inspirational story. We'll delve into Dana's background in a minute. So please make sure you watch this episode on the Discovery Pod with Eve's YouTube channel, or you can listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. I am joined today by my friend, Mandy Fason. She's an actress. She is a costume designer. She's a dancer. She does it all. She's a single mother. Mandy, welcome back to another episode of the Discovery Pod with Eve. It's so good to have you back.
Thank you for having me. I love you, Eve.
Oh, thank you. Love working with you too. So, first of all, I want to make sure you're safe. As I just mentioned earlier, we've been facing devastating fires here in the LA County. So how are you doing?
Well, I was grateful you reached out to see that I was doing fine and unaffected and available to co-host with you today. But honestly, I think all of us are affected, whether it's our homes directly, because we all know someone.
Yes.
And I caretake. And the women in my life in their upper 70s, 80s, it's just been very hard to manage their anxiety. So that's been something else. It's like you're constantly just trying to maintain a peace, knowing the world around you is burning down. So it's definitely been a hardship for everyone.
I know. You're so right about it. I mean, my aunt lives in Pacific Palisades and her house was burnt down. But it also literally affected me. I mentioned this, Ella, previously when we taped a different episode, that I had been gone from LA for 3 weeks and I was totally oblivious because I don't watch the news. And flying back home last Wednesday, getting close to LAX, that's when I saw how bad it was. And I have to say, I haven't felt the same. I was telling Roger earlier that I was very sick. I didn't even think I could walk. I think it's all the stress, and it was literally affecting my lower abdomen. I could barely walk on Tuesday and Wednesday, and it was so scary. My doctor had to come see me. So the stress has a way of manifesting itself.
Certainly does, yes.
And, I know last December you were busy working on a movie, which you were working as a costume designer. So what else is there for Mandy 2025? What else are you working on?
We did just finish production on that, and I look forward to thank you. I loved working with Elizabeth Blake Thomas was the director, and I hope to do other projects with her. So we have a few things in the pipeline. But honestly, because of this devastation, I feel like everything has hit pause, and that's another reason for stress and anxiety, sort of just, breathing through one half day at a time, jogging in place and being grateful for the friends in our lives and, looking for those bright spots and just encouraging each other because we just can't take for granted when we are doing.
Yes, I know. It's, as you said, it's nice to have friends, and thank you too, because what I really, really, really like about Mandy is that positive energy. And I was just like, what better person to, we're basically, the season is almost ending, coming down to the last few episodes. And I was so happy when you said you were available. So thank you, Mandy. And this brings us to our inspirational episode today with we have a truly inspiring guest, Dana Bradley, Mrs. Alabama. Dana's journey is of incredible transformation, resilience, and empowerment. Having lost over 100 pounds, she didn't just change her body, but also her mindset, embracing the challenges that came with it. Dana's story is a testament to the power of self-discipline, perseverance, and belief in oneself. She now uses her platform to empower others, especially women, to reclaim their health and confidence. And we are so thrilled to have her on the show today to share her incredible journey and lessons she's learned along the way. Dana, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you.
So your weight loss journey is nothing short of incredible. Can you take us back to the moment you first decided to make a change, and what was the driving force behind that decision?
Well, COVID had just started, and I went to my doctor, and pretty much he gave me a life sentence. He said, "You're tipping the scales at 284 pounds. and you could leave your kids without a mom. And I thought back to the time when I was a child. I lost my mom when I was 14 to breast cancer. And at that point in time, I knew I had to make a decision whether or not to stay on the path I was or whether to lose the weight and get healthy and live for my kids. And that's what I did. I got in my car that morning. I cried a lot of tears. My kids were 13 and 16 at the time. And I knew I could not leave them without a mom. It was kind of like the doctor threw water in my face and said, this is your wake up call. And over the course of time, I've been able to lose 157 pounds. And I gained a healthier self. And I'm here living for my kids and living to help other people.
I can so relate to that. My children have always been my reason, my why. So there's not really any other more extreme motivation than that. But 100 pounds is a great goal.
157.
157 pounds. That's a tremendous goal. So
Yeah.
in trying to share the challenges of that process, other than looking at your children, what other ways did you find yourself through the darkest parts of that process to keep yourself moving forward, to to keep pushing ahead when you've plateaued or felt like you weren't seeing the progress you thought you would? Could you share a little bit?
I knew that it would take time. Even though weight goes on quickly, it doesn't come off fast. People can have quick fixes and they want microwavable results, and it just doesn't happen. I had to dig deep into nutrition and my fitness, which I was never really a person who exercised. That was where I struggled. I knew that I could probably handle the nutrition part of it. I was a very big Coca-Cola addict, drinking several Cokes a day. I probably, kept Coca-Cola in business. I realized I had to make that change. And even though there were times when I got up, didn't want to exercise, didn't want to put in that video, didn't want to go out there for that walk, which eventually became jogging and running, I knew I had to get healthy. I had too many strokes before I was 35, and I kept thinking to myself, I walked out of that hospital, and if something happened to me this next time, I may not be so lucky. And I had to keep going. I just had to. I knew there was no other choice for me but to keep going. And God was that voice in my ear that kept saying, you've got to do this. I'm with you all the way. It's going to happen. And I trusted him through my journey, and he's carried me this far to this day, and I trust in him.
That's so incredible. And that's Ozempic and all the various weight loss medications out there, which is the quick and easier route for a lot of folks. So
Right.
Tell us, how did you get into becoming Mrs. Alabama? Did someone reach out to you, or was this the goal after losing the weight? How did this?
Well, it was never a goal. My goal was just to be healthy. I remember growing up watching pageants with my mom. We would sit down and we would have a notepad, and we would go ahead and pick the top 10, and then we pick the top 5 and who we thought should win. And so that never really crossed my mind, because I never thought as a young child, young teenager, that I was pretty enough or I was good enough. Even though my mom and dad always instilled positivity in me, I never really saw myself as a pageant person. So long story short, my daughter was getting pictures taken by a photographer not too far from my home here. And we've been friends for a while, and he started seeing my journey. He started seeing pictures of me after I started posting pictures. And he reached out and he said, I think it's time for you to enter a pageant. He said, I really do think that you could go somewhere with it. And so I started looking into pageants, and ones that had platform based, because I wanted my health and wellness to be my platform. I wanted to show other women, even men, that it's possible. But more importantly, women, because we are so hard on ourselves, we pick each other apart. And I thought it was a great platform. And I went ahead and I signed an application, went through several interviews, talked to several of the directors. And they came back with me and they said, we want you to represent your state. We want you to go ahead and represent your state with your platform of health and wellness. You had a remarkable journey, unlike anyone we've ever seen, and we want you to bring it to a national stage.
I love that. I love your platform. I think it crosses over into everyone's life, whether it's for better health or just self-love. So if you, in your own journey or as part of your platform, how do you encourage someone to stay in a healthy mindset? How do you flip the light on when you're in that dark space? How would you encourage others to recognize that? And how do you find self-awareness and flip the switch back over?
You have to know why you want to do it. You really have to know your why. It can't just be, oh, I just want to lose weight. You have to have something, a bigger goal to go towards. And my kids were my why. I always tell people that I coach and people that ask for advice, they always are like, I'm not motivated. How do I get that light switch to flip on? And I always tell them, you will know, but until you have that mindset of, I need to do this for whatever reason, whether it's health, whether it's for family, whether it's for yourself, to me, you have to know your why. When you know your why, it's easy to find your way. It's not always easy getting there, but it's easier to get there when you know your why.
Yeah. Your journey is just incredible. It's fantastic. You've lost so much weight. So I know, me specifically, I struggle every single day with what I eat. I struggle. I mean, I exercise. I've been exercising my whole life, but it's not an easy thing to motivate yourself and to eat healthy every single day. So how's your journey with food after losing all this weight?
It's actually really easy now. During the first stages of my journey, I had to learn what was going on my fork. I had to learn how to track my food because I was never aware of what I was putting in my body. I was putting in thousands of calories in every day, whether it be drinking Cokes, whether it be empty calories, whether it being fast food. There's fast food everywhere you turn around. And it's hard as an adult and in society to pass those things up. I learned how to eat better. I researched lots of things on nutrients and what my body needed. I know how my body runs. It's kind of like a car. You check underneath the hood and you want to make sure that everything is filled to its capacity so that it runs right. And that's the same thing with your body. And I knew that if I kept going down the road I was going, I wasn't adequate and was not, I guess, motivated and disciplined enough, then I could easily go backwards. And that was not a route I was willing to take because going backwards was a very dark journey. And I was tired of existing. I wanted to live. I wanted to be healthy. And it keeps me on track because I feel so much better now that I do exercise and I do have the better nutrition. I know how to handle things. I know how to pass things up. I never deprive myself from things that I like to eat, but it's not just about moderation. You have to maintain a healthy lifestyle. Once you get there, there are certain things that you will never want to go to again because it will make you feel sick. It will make you feel sluggish. And I love feeling healthy. I love getting up in the morning, being able to exercise, doing things I know that I was never supposed to do because I am an avid runner now. I didn't always think I would be, but I was told not to run. I was told that I could injure my back even worse because I did have back injury. I did have herniated disc and bulging disc. I was told that it will be hard on my knees, that I just could not do it. And I was told, do not do it. And when someone tells me I can't do something or don't do it, I've always been the kind of person, well, I'm going to at least try. And that's what I've done. I always tell people to try and do your best and just have to try to know where you want to go with your journey. And it's any journey. It's not just weight loss. It could be career. It could be relationship. The journeys are all different. Mine was a weight journey. And I'm still, I'm still on my weight journey. I have goals I still want to reach. I still want to do more toning, and I will always keep up with my nutrition. I will always be an avid exercise person. I think it's very important to have those two things in life. Without those, you can't have one without the other. It doesn't work that way. You've got to move your body, you've got to stay active. And I feel better than I have ever felt in my entire life, even when I was a teenager, where I struggled too with weight.
I think that at least me as a young woman and as a more mature woman, I have still had to redefine my relationship with food. It's hard. I think we all struggle, and we probably all have battles that no one knows about. But as someone who has had such a profound transformation and change, how did your transformation impact your relationships with other people, your friends and family around you? How did that evolve during your process?
I've had it's impacted me a lot, to be honest. I will never sugarcoat my journey. I'm very raw and real about it because I coach people, and they have to know the goods and the bads and the in-betweens, because they may experience the same thing I experience. When it was during COVID, we were forced to stay home. My kids were forced to stay home and do homeschooling, virtual learning. My husband was home. He couldn't travel for work. We were all confined in our house, which was very difficult. But I was going along my journey the best I could. And I was losing weight, and getting healthier. And it wasn't until COVID kind of was a little bit better that we could get out and go out in the public. And I'll never forget people looking at me and not really recognizing me or the changes I was making. I've had a lot of haters. I've had a lot of people who I thought were friends, turn against me. I've had a lot of jealousy and resentment. People aren't always comfortable with a person changing. And I always tell people, you want people to be happy for you, but there's always going to be people out there that are not where you're at and not achieving what you're achieving. And it's sad, but it's true. But I've had a lot of supporters, and I've had a lot of people that have been negative, and the closest people to me were not always been big supporters. And that's what I try to emphasize to people that I coach. I want them to have a good foundation to start with. I will be their accountability partner. I will be that source of support when I didn't have that and I lacked that in my own journey. I don't want people to walk the journey alone. It's very hard and it's very dark to walk alone. It's hard when you're overweight. It's hard when you're a woman in general. There's so much competition with other women. Mm-hmm. And I don't realize why we can't lift each other up and empower each other. There's no competition. We all should be cheerleaders for each other. And like I said, I lost friends, I gained friends. My relationships, here in my home, have not always been the greatest. You live and you learn through the journey. And it's a very hard one, but you gather your strength where you need to, and you just keep pressing on. There's, like I said, there's no going back. You can only push forward, and people will either grow with you or they won't.
I love that. I think it's incredible. And first, I've got to thank Tony, because Tony did the connect. She introduced us. And when I saw Dana's pictures, I called Dana and we spoke on Monday. I was like, Dana, you got to come on because we're wrapping up. But I'm so glad you're able to, because your story is going to resonate with so many people. And especially like here in LA, with all the things happening here, with the fires, these are the types of stories that we need, stories that are so uplifting, your journey of resilience, of hope. So looking back, is there anything you would have done differently in your approach to weight loss or self-care?
I wish I would have done it earlier in my life, so that I could have been a more active mom for my children. Being a mom is the most rewarding job I've ever had. I've always been present, but I felt like I was just existing. And I wish I had done it earlier when I knew I was getting unhealthy. I had every health issue you could think of. I was able to reverse every single health issue I ever had. And I have a clear and clean bill of health now. Wow. Where I can enjoy life at its fullest. Many opportunities have opened up, and I'm running to them every single day. I feel like God has given me a new lease on life, and He's like, Dana, this is your time. You've done the work. You're continuing to help others, continue to inspire others, continue to lift others up. There are several other people just like you out there. And that's the thing. I wish I'd have done it earlier, but I think it's in your timing and God's timing as to what happens. And the wake up call for me was in March of 2020. And it resonated with me so much because I didn't have a mom growing up, and it was really, really hurtful. And if I could do things different, the only thing I would have done is start it earlier so that I would have a more enjoyable experience being able to play and do the things with my kids. But now I get the chance to do that with future grandkids. I get to see my kids graduate from college. God's got us on His timeline. I don't know what my time is looking like, but I think I've added many more years to my life. And I thank Him for being my biggest supporter. And, I think everybody has a chance in life. And I think you just have to grab the bull by the horns and go with it. And, being fearful is always something that we all have, but we all have courage to be brave enough to walk that step. We just have to be able to do it. And once we do it, there's no going back.
Dana, I don't have kids, but I can only say, I would only imagine, I'm sure your kids are very, very proud of you. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you should have any regrets. This is the journey. This was your trajectory, and this is where you needed to be right now. So I think just looking at photos of you and your kids, I'm sure they're very proud of your journey.
Yeah. No more looking backwards, because now you have established this amazing platform where you can really use your voice and make a difference for so many people. Regarding some of the things you just shared with us, it is obvious that you have an amazing heart. And so you are who you've always been on the inside, and with this amazing transformation on the outside. You were always beautiful, and it's just crazy how sometimes we lose the success and support of people when we haven't changed. Wow. It's just our job changed, or our success in something changes. So thank you for sharing that vulnerable part of your story.
Thank you.
With your platform, and if someone approached you on the street that's just struggling with weight, like, what is your fastest tip to let them know, like, this is how you, like, don't stop. If they feel nothing's working, everything they tried, nothing's working, other than your positivity and your motivation, what other little tips of what you might keep instead of Coca-Cola? What do you drink? Do you drink water? What one piece of advice would you give someone to try to get over that hump of nothing working when they've tried everything?
Well, first of all, I would have to say, never give up on yourself. Always believe in yourself. That's where it starts. You have to believe in yourself that you can do it. And I would say, just get on track. Start with the smallest step possible. If you're a sugar addict, cut back down on your sugar. Do things in stages. You don't have to do everything at once. Start tracking your food and start exercising. The biggest thing is movement. A lot of people are quick to eat things and go sit on the couch, or some people will have a bad meal and they'll feel guilty and the rest of the day is gone. One meal a day, one good meal choice a day, and then gradually start that journey. You don't have to do things cold turkey. Some people can't do that. But as I go back to know why you want to lose weight, and it shouldn't be for vanity reasons. If you're unhealthy and you have a bad bill of health, think about what that looks like. What do you want to see for yourself? Start making those choices, and start with food. What goes in your mouth, what goes on your fork. You're in control of that. Nobody else is in control of that. Start one day at a time. It's one meal at a time. I always say you can jump in full force, but sometimes there's a big failure rate in that. I say small steps, one meal at a time, one day at a time. It's 1 pound at a time.
I think,
That's excellent.
yeah, that's such a great,
I like the journaling,
I
tracking.
love that as well. I know when it comes to food, a lot of people struggle. And I know this for myself. I mean, I consider myself, I eat healthy, I eat clean, but there are times when you go through the emotional roller coaster. A lot of people would want to ask, just because you've got such an inspirational story. Around the holidays, people usually say, well, it's the holidays. I can have something different for Christmas. Do you give yourself those cheap day? What do you
Cheat
call
days.
cheat days that you can just say, well, you know what? I'm just going to have it's Christmas or it's Christmas Eve. I'm going to have a dessert. Or do you just try to stay at a 2,000 calorie or 1,000 calorie a day?
I try to stay on track for the most part. The
Wow.
first holiday I had leading up to, where I was at, the first Thanksgiving I had in the South, we're very big into Southern cooking. Everything is fried, everything is wholesome, everything is goodness. I was struggling because I love chicken and dressing. And I thought that's just not going to happen and me be good with that because that's going to mess up what I am trying to do with cleaner eating. But what I did was I went ahead and went to all the healthy dishes that I had available to me, all the vegetables that were cooked right. I went to the turkey, without the skin. Skin was my favorite part, but I had to go ahead and not give in. And I went ahead and had a very, very small helping of dressing, but I stayed on track for the most part. I don't call it cheating. Um, I just say eat in moderation if you know you can control it in small amounts. The holidays are meant to be enjoyed and people should enjoy them. And yes, food brings people together. It's great. But if you're on a journey and you're tracking and you're trying to do better, you'll know what you can and can't have. And when I say can't, it kind of sounds like you're on a diet, but it's mainly a lifestyle change. It's never a diet. It's a lifestyle change. It's lifelong. A diet is very temporary. We go on a diet, we get back on the hamster wheel, and we're trying to lose weight again and again and again, and it doesn't happen. If we just make better choices, learn our nutrients better and how to fuel our bodies in the best way, they'll run better, you'll feel better. And then when you go back to wanting something, you will not want to give in and do that because you will have succeeded so far in your journey that that won't even be an option.
I am interested in hearing more about you and your role as Mrs. Alabama. I know there's a lot of misconceptions out there about pageant systems, and I personally can see this as a great place for you to make a difference in other people, but how has it affected you for your confidence and the impact it's making on you personally?
Well, I was Mrs. Alabama up until nationals. I did resign my title 3 months before nationals. There was a lot of things going on in the pageantry that was not reported to me, deadlines and things. I was having a hard time getting sponsors. I was hard time getting support, not only from the community, but I was having a hard time getting support from the closest people to me. Um, it's a harsh reality, but my family did not like the idea of me being Mrs. Alabama International, to be honest,
Wow.
only because they were not used to mom doing things. Mom was just a stay-at-home mom. I was just a
Wow.
stay-at-home wife who tended to everything, and here I
Ooh.
was out there, and I felt like it was a reward for me after all the hard work I had accomplished. But at the end of the day, it had really, really messed with my mental health.
Oh,
And I had to do what was better for me at the time. And people say, well, you gave up a dream. And yes, that very well could have been. But when I think of health and wellness, it's not just about just the physical part of it. It's the mental, as far as it's a mental and spiritual journey as well. It's wellness altogether. And it was really, really hurting me. And I knew that there was a bigger plan for me. God had brought me to this, and I know there was a reason for it. And just like everything in my life, he opens doors and closes them. And I felt this was a door that was closed for a reason. I never questioned God anymore. I used to do that when I lost my mom, and it was never something I should have ever questioned because he knows my path better than I do. And I just learned at the end of the day, I'm just thankful to have had the opportunity that God brought me to that, provided me a great lesson in that, and a great blessing at the same time.
You know what? That's such a great story that you just talked about it, because I think we see all of those journeys and we celebrate, which is what we should do, but then we never think about the backstory. I think you just shared something about the impact that it had within your own family as well. And it's something that you had this dream, but then I can only imagine, how did that affect your spouse? Like, because looking at it from his perspective as well, he was accustomed to seeing you one way, and all of a sudden, I'm sure he was happy for the new confidence, but were there any insecurities on his part?
I believe there was. I believe there was because we had always, if we had gone out in public, a lot of people would ask him, "Did you get a divorce? Do you have a new wife?" Because I didn't look like the same person. And I can tell that the insecurities were coming out, and he wasn't comfortable. But, you know, it's always hard when someone changes and the other person doesn't change. I was always the heavy mom. My kids never saw a thin mom, and my kids never saw a mom that had long hair. You know, for 20 years, I had short hair, didn't really makeup, didn't, you know, was the mom. You know, I was like the frumpy mom, you know, did stuff at the school for the kids and everything that I needed to do. But at the same time, you know, they had issues with it as well. And I just say, not everybody's ready to grow with you and evolve. They will in their own time. And if they do, they do. If not, one day I hope they realize that the journey was not easy. And it's so hard to walk the journey alone. And that's why health and wellness is so important to me, because there's so many out there that struggle with it. And some people have great levels of support, some people don't. And I want to be able to impact those that don't, because I know what it's like to be there, and I know what it's like to feel alone. And I don't think anybody deserves to walk it alone. If they want to get healthy and they want to change their lifestyle and they want to change and become a better person and a better version of themselves, well, then you know what? If a person's not there for you, I'm going to be there for you.
Are you still married?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So
28 years or 29 years.
And he's healthy. He has a very healthy. So are you both sort of?
He's overweight. He's overweight, and he's trying to lose weight now on his own, but he wasn't always on his journey. So
you've been much more of a warrior than one would even expect. At first glance, we're all like, wow, 157 pounds. What an athlete spirit you must have. But there's been so much more, like you said, on an emotional and spiritual side of things. So I just want to congratulate you on that and tell you you are a warrior. And that part of your story is going to make more of a profound difference for people than even the physical part of it. Yeah. Thank you.
Right. I always tell people it's not just a physical journey. It's a mental journey. It's a spiritual journey. It's where you find yourself.
Yeah.
And it all comes together. It all comes full circle. And I'm just thankful that I am able to share my journey with others, and hope that I can enlighten others where they may feel darkness or may feel alone. I want to be that beacon of light. Yeah. I want to be that lighthouse that they look for and see that there's someone there. I can't save anyone. I can save myself. Yeah. I can't save anyone. but I can be there for other people, and I can be there to share my journey as my testimony to help other people,
I think
other women, other men facing the same obstacles.
It's fantastic that looking at it from a totally different perspective, the behind the story for me is truly inspiring. You literally were walking this journey without much support. And it's fantastic to see that you were able to overcome all of that.
Mm-hmm. I want to just commend you for that as well.
Thank you. I mean, it's not easy, and it was definitely hard. But I think we grow with the journey.
Yes.
And we learn more about ourselves. We gather our strength when we don't know that we have that strength. And I didn't know where it came from at first, but I may look completely different on the outside, but I've always remained true to who I am on the inside, and I always will.
And I hope your spouse is able to look at your journey where you are as an inspiration for him as well, as he goes through this journey for himself as well, because it's something that you needed to do for your own mental well-being. So I hope, because your story is it's inspirational to the world, to everybody who listens to this. I think it's such an inspiration. So what's next for you?
Whatever the doors open up, I am running through. I'm walking New York Fashion Week in first week in February.
Fantastic.
And I am walking International Runway in Paris in March.
Oh,
and it'll be my first time to ever go global. And I'm just so humble and so honored to be given the opportunity, because my past life at 284 pounds, I would never have imagined me walking the runway for a designer, or three at that.
That's fantastic. So we're actually down to the last 3 minutes. And the last question, if you could have dinner with anyone dead or alive, who would it be and why?
My mother, because she was the inspiration for me to keep going. I saw her struggle with cancer. I saw her neglect her health because she took care of her kids. She was a kind and humble woman with so much love in her heart, and a big advocate for her kids. And if I could have dinner or sit on a park bench with one person, it would be her. Because I never got to say goodbye.
Wow.
I just want to say I love you, and thank you for everything that you've given me and instilled in me. Your legacy, because I am now living my legacy, and when I'm gone, others will be able to see my legacy as well.
Dana, thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey with us today. Your story is a powerful reminder that true transformation comes from within, and your dedication to empowering others is truly inspiring. I know our listeners are walking away with valuable lessons that will encourage them to embrace their own journey of growth and self-discovery. You've shown us all that anything is possible with resilience, self-love, and being very determined. Thank you again for being with us today.
Thank you so much for sharing your vulnerability, and keep making people uncomfortable.
We look forward to seeing all the amazing things that you'll continue to do, to do out there. This has been what an incredible episode.
Absolutely. So many more layers to every story. I just want to
say thank you. Thank you for having me. And I will continue to pray for everyone affected by the fires. It's truly devastating. And there's someone here in Alabama praying for y'all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't dim your light. make people uncomfortable, take charge, and own that runway. I am so happy for you. That's
very
amazing.
proud of you. I mean, incredible. Keep shining. Again, thank you, Tony, for the intro. Roger, thank you. Tony Sweet, thank you so much. Thank you for hosting. What an incredible episode. Ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you watch this episode with Dana on the Discovery Pod with Eve's YouTube channel, or you can listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. This has been truly inspiring. This is so uplifting. Your story of resilience is incredible. Again, Dana, thank you for being here with us. What an incredible story. Fantastic. Your journey is inspiring. Again, ladies and gentlemen, please watch this episode on the Discovery Pod with Eve's YouTube channel. Keep checking us out every Thursday at 12 p.m. Pacific time. You never know who's going to stop by next week. Until then, see you all next time. Thanks again, Dana.
Thanks.
Bye.